Hello, 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 Epic Understanding family. I am Erica Atkins, affectionately known as Coach Love, and I have here with me Miss Dominique Legree. How are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
That is excellent. That is excellent. Now, I am going to put the title of the show on for everyone to see, and it is very simple how Dominique Legree turned surviving into thriving. A gypsy foster child now has a life she can love. That's a lot. That's something special.
Thank you.
So tell me how it is that gypsy foster child can be something you identify with.
Um, well, I was placed into care after birth, and
Hmm.
my mother, my biological mother, she had a drug problem, so I was
Hmm.
in care after I was born. So once I was well, I went with my foster mother that I consider to be my mom.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
she's the one who really raised me.
Hmm.
She took me in about 2 weeks old. I was able to
Okay.
hospital about 2 weeks after I was born. And I was with her up until I was 16. So I always, less complicated, I would say that I was adopted because that's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah. Until she passed and we found out that I was never legally adopted. She only had guardianship of me, that I was a foster care that just, um, she kept it going by leaving the state of New York. I was born in Brooklyn. So
Ah.
then we
Ah.
left Brooklyn, we moved to Texas, then we migrated to South Carolina, North Carolina, Maryland, so in various places within those states. We just kept it moving. I think she really just wanted to make a better life for me.
Hmm. Hmm. That
And
is,
that's she did that.
you want to know what? I really hear in there how much your adopted mother, your foster mother, how much she really loved you. And you know what? Wherever she is right now in heaven up above, I know she's loving on you right now. You know what? Let us say hello to some of our audience members. We have Stacy Walton, B Dub, as you might call her.
Oh yeah, that's my
Uh
godmother.
huh. That's your godmother, yes, yes, and we will get around to that because the reality is that to produce the wonderful woman you are, God gifted you with three mothers. Is that right?
Right,
Three mothers. Hmm.
my
And
mother raised
we have
me.
hmm.
I said my mother that raised me
Uh-huh.
passed, and then my cousin took over in high school, and then when I got to college, God helped me meet Dr. Walton, who I call D-Dub.
There you go. That is absolutely beautiful. So, although this is a story of strain, it is very much a story of triumph because no matter where you went, as long as you had uh, faith, you were able to be encompassed by love, by motherly love. Is that true?
That's true. And that was something that I really knew that I needed after spending all those years with my foster mother. She
Hmm.
she really became like the center of my life. She was the one that was consistent. We may have had financial troubles and we may have been homeless at different points or staying with people at different points or different shelters. But what was consistent was that she was always around. You know what I'm saying? She was always there for me. She always told me she didn't want me to go into foster care and bounce around. So she made sure of that I didn't bounce around. I was always at least with her.
That is amazing. Now you're getting some love from the audience. Donald Cummings just says hello and says this is amazing. Um, they actually adopted six boys. Oh my goodness.
Oh, God bless you
Six.
guys. It really
Hmm.
makes it.
They're loving it. They're loving it. They're loving the idea of adoption. But so many people are unfamiliar with the idea of taking care of a child that they did not birth. And adoption is common, but the actual practice of it in your own home and in your own heart may not be as common. Okay. So I know that there was a lot of moving around when you were younger with your foster adopted mother, but then you got another opportunity to have a mother in your life, your godmother. Tell me about your college experience.
Well, I I just knew that I just wanted to go to college, and
Hmm.
I eventually decided that I wanted to do social work and to help other teenagers like myself. So I applied to different schools, and I was rejected because I didn't have a birth certificate and my name wasn't on my birth certificate, so it was a little complicated. So Norfolk State was the only school that kind of missed that piece.
Okay. Wait, hold on one second. You did not have your birth certificate?
No, when when my foster mother died, we were in a shelter.
Okay.
Um, she got sick. She fell. I called 911. We took her, and so she spent 3 months in the hospital. And I ended up staying
Hmm.
with a cousin while she was there. And when she passed, I didn't have any documents, so I went to the shelter and I asked for a copy of her application. And that's all I had was a copy of my birth certificate. And when I looked at it, I had a birth certificate with no first name. It said Baby Girl Legree,
Mm.
and a baptism paper. So I was baptized, and that had Dominique on it.
Okay, that's
And
good.
that was all I had. So I needed to get an original. So they gave me an original, right? And of course, it was still no name on it. So I couldn't even get ID. I was 16 at the time. I couldn't get like ID from the DMV. All I had was that I was registered in high school. So I got a high school ID. And that wasn't functional. But
Wow.
so all of the schools kind of rejected me. They needed more information. I sent them the guardianship papers. I sent them the death certificate. But they were like, "You need a birth certificate," you know. So that
I
was
just
the
have
issue.
to hit a pause point because I would just want to celebrate your resilience. I want to celebrate your resilience in that moment because you were essentially being told no.
Yeah.
No, you don't have a birth certificate. You can't go to college, but you had the wherewithal to keep applying and the wherewithal to keep grinding to get the thing that you needed. So I just want to recognize you for that and celebrate that characteristic in you because we are all going through struggles, but it is our wherewithal. It is that drive to keep going that is going to get us through to the next point. Okay. So you get to college and then what happens?
I get there and I don't have a dorm room. I'm in a hotel waiting list. And I go to class, one of my science classes. I'm excited, right? Because I wanted to go to an HBCU, and
Uh-huh.
I have human biology. It's an evening class, and I get there, and there's a black woman in there, and I'm like, professor, a black scientist, a woman, and I give her this huge hug. I'm just excited to be in the place. I did tours
Mhm.
in high school, so I'm just really excited. And she's like, "Hello," I give her a hug. I didn't know this woman, and she's like, "Hi." She's like, "Have a seat." She's like, "See me after class." I'm like, "Okay."
So yes, you see this woman and you jump on her with love.
Yeah,
I love
I was
you.
so
You're a
happy.
black female scientist.
Yeah, she was like, "See me after class." It's just like so. I didn't have the textbooks for
Mhm.
her class. I didn't have anything. So she's like, "Why don't you have the books so you can do like how are you gonna do my work? What's going on?"
Okay.
And I'm like, "Well, I can't afford the book." She's like, "Well, how are you gonna get the books?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm waiting for a program, And then I start talking her ear off for about 2. I was apprehensive at first, and then I talked her ear off. And she was like, "I'm gonna help you." She's like, "I have, when you hugged me, I felt something." And
Mm.
he's a minister,
Okay.
and we started talking from there. And she said, see me tomorrow. And I didn't have any like bed sheets or anything. At this time, I got a dorm room, but it was empty, right? And I have
Okay.
someone gave me a sleeping bag.
Mm-hmm.
She came and she brought me like a comforter and a pillow. She's like, my daughter, this is like new. My daughter doesn't use this. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. I can't pay you back. I can't take this. She's like, don't worry about it. And she said, matter of fact, come with me. And we went to Walmart.
Uh-huh.
She's in the store like, okay, well, what do college students need? Oh, they need this. And she starts putting stuff in the shopping cart. And I'm like putting it back on the shelf. I'm like, lady, I don't know. I can't pay you back. She's like,
Oh, wow.
and I'm like, what? So she was just, did, she said God told her to help me and she needed to be obedient. And I was like, wow, and not very trusting, of course, with my just moving around and people pitying you and they
Okay.
are transactional, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I do this for you, you do this for me. And so I didn't know what she wanted from me. And
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't anything really. And it took me years to really, really accept that and really appreciate that about her
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't
So
trusting.
that is a real dichotomy that you have there. You admired her, so there was something inside of you where you admired her, so where you jumped on her and hugged her, but yet you were holding back a little piece of yourself because of your past. You had been hurt. People had been transactional with you, and you thought maybe, just maybe, she wanted something more than you could give.
Yeah, I was like, what is she gonna like, you know, yeah, I don't know. I had been used to that kind of like being like bound to people's sympathy and pity for you. And so they're like, I just, I've been living babysitters or just kind of trading things for things just to get by and stuff. So
Mhm, mhm. So also you did not want to be pitied. You did not want anybody's sympathy. You wanted to be the queen that you are.
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, tell me more. After you leave Walmart, what happens next?
Um, I did it was able to get in touch with one of my adopted siblings. My mom
Okay.
that adopted me, she was in her like mid 50s when she got me, so she was in her late 60s when she passed, and she had
Okay.
children. And I had a vague relationship with them, like so I reached out to one of them and I said, like, hey, this lady's trying to help me, and he was just like, well, take her help, like,
Mhm,
Dominique, you ain't got nothing to lose. And so I was like, okay. And I just I took her help, and then I
mhm,
would also not ask her for help more so when I needed it. So I did, take on a part-time job. I was doing hair on the side, and she would find out my grades would suffer. She was like, "What?" And
mhm,
then I was feeling bad about my grades suffering, and she's like, "What are you doing? You're working too much." And I'm like, "But I have to pay my phone bill and I need food in the room." And she's like, well, why didn't you ask me? Over and over, this kind of dynamic between us. She would want to help, but I would resist it and try to do it on my own and would be having a hard time. And she just remained constant, consistent. And I, not that I had never seen anything like that, but yeah.
That is amazing. You are watching Epic Understanding with Dominique Legree, a story of triumph. So tell us, somehow along the line, you actually came to live with your instructor. Is that right?
Yes. I think it was like after like my second year, I couldn't afford to pay the housing deposit again, so that meant I would be on the waiting list and whatnot. And I just, you know, first generation college students, my families, you didn't know what to say or how to encourage. So my cousin that I was living with, she was just like, well, I said, I don't think I should go back. She's like, okay, well, we got to find you a job, and, we will talk about how much you're going to pay with the bills. And so I told Dr. Walton, and she's like, hey, when, school's starting, when are you coming back? I'm like, I don't think I'm coming back. I was like, I think I'm gonna just, work. Maybe I'll get into a shelter, find find an apartment. She's like, what? She's like, do you have enough to get a bus ticket back? And I was like, yeah, I can buy a Chinese bus ticket back. And she was like, get the ticket back and we'll talk about it when you get here, And
Mhm, mhm.
so I was like, I don't have a dorm, So she said, you can stay at my house. And she literally drove me to school every day. And I was
Wow.
like, oh, wow, and I stayed with her. And I was late to one of my first classes. She's like, you're going to have to tell this professor why you're late or this may be a problem. And I was prideful and I didn't want to tell her. She's like, well, if you don't tell her, I'm going to tell her. And she's like, I'm telling her. So she told the professor, she's like, look, she's homeless. She's staying with me and I work here, but my first, I live far. She's like, so she's late. And she's like, Dominique, the professor was like, why didn't you tell me? I know somebody in housing. So I just realized like it's okay to ask for help and don't be ashamed. But I was, and the woman called someone and someone had just like moved out of their dorm and I got a room on campus. So after I graduated, I didn't have a plan. I,
Mhm.
I'm gonna go back and stay with my cousin and figure it out from there. She was like, just say you don't have a plan. Oh, okay, I don't have a plan. And she said, well, you're not going back, to Brooklyn. You're not going back. You're going to stay here. I'm going to teach you how to drive and we're going to figure this out. And she literally taught me how to drive, which was a mess.
Mhm, mhm.
And she sold me like her old car. She was like, give me $1. All right, well, let's go. Let's go to DMV. We're going to figure this thing out. And she said, because I can't take you back and forth to work. You're going to have to drive. She was like,
Wow.
back to New York. And that was the beginning. And I lived in her home, the biggest home I've had ever seen.
Uh-huh.
Said that material things are what you need to show love and help someone, but I had just never been around the kind of things that she had. I was like, oh wow. I
That
even trying to like clean or just do leisurely things, I like accidentally damaged things in her home.
oh my goodness.
This chemical, but I didn't know. I'm used to the projects, bleach. But and she's like, you can't put bleach on this and that, learning these different things. I had never been around granite countertops and these kind. She's lovely home anyway, but she opened her home to me, and I stayed there, and I got my first job in social work.
Mhm,
She
mhm,
encouraged me to go to graduate school, and
mhm,
I even got into graduate school, and I did a year. I think I have like a year more.
mhm.
That's stories for other days. I I I I really appreciate her always encouraging. I could never, if you ask me, oh, you're gonna have a math, go to get a bachelor's and do graduate school. I didn't know, but
Mhm,
that
mhm.
God really wants you to complete this, and she supported me in that. So
That's amazing. So you're a woman now, you have a child of your own and now you're a mother,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
What has your experience poured into your vision of being a mother?
Um, it's my it has been amazing because I really didn't want children.
Really?
No, yeah, I didn't because I was afraid that I would like mess them up. I was like, I don't think I've had any good examples, environmentally. And I said, I don't want children. And Dr. D Dub was like, what makes you think you have a choice? She was encouraging me. She's like, we are here to bring forth new life, and she really put that in my head, and I was just really afraid about it. But I finally opened up, and I was like, okay, well maybe I could, have children of my own. But I was really
Mhm,
I would kind of screw them up somehow. So now that I am a mother, I realize that I'm not my biological mother. You know,
Right.
doing
Uh-huh.
she's doing very well now. But I'm not her mistakes, and I realize that now. I'm not the mistakes of my foster mother. You know, it was
Mhm.
perfect. You know, I say, you know, I love her and she loved on me, but it wasn't a perfect, you know, upbringing. You know, she had poor taste in men, you know, abusive, you know, living situations, hence us in shelters and things like that.
Mhm.
But I realize I'm not them, and I have the ability to make choices that will serve my son well. Not saying that they didn't do the best that they did with what they have. I'm gonna do that, you know, as well. And I'm not gonna, you know, I don't have a desire to be fighting, you know, be with the man that is abusing me and
Mhm.
put my son through that, or, you know, try to numb myself with. I'm not judging the women, you know, in my life, but I just feel like I won't screw my child up. I feel so much different. You know, I want
Mhm.
wanting
Mhm.
kids to just wanting more, right? I'm like, oh, I think I could have another. You know,
Oh, that's beautiful.
yeah.
That is beautiful. Now you said something that I just want to back up over because I believe that that is a lesson that we all can learn, not just if we're adopted or come from a troubled family or something like that, that we are not other people's mistakes. That is so insightful.
Yeah, you're not bound to make those same mistakes. Just, you know, just because you've been exposed to it, you can choose differently, and you will instinctively. But
Mhm.
I really was worried about that.
Absolutely. And something else that I've learned from your story is, or at least been reminded of, is not to live from a place of fear. You're courageous, girl.
Thank you. I didn't even realize it until talking to D Dub, Dr. Wilson. She was just like, "So you know nobody here, you know, in Virginia?" And I was like, "No."
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, "So you literally are here with $40 and a suitcase and an acceptance letter, and you have no family here?" And I was like, "Yeah." And when she said it back to me, I didn't realize how, you know, she's like, "That's some faith." She's like, "You got to have some serious faith to do something like that."
Mm-hmm.
And I was, you know, I was like, "I guess I do." You know, I just know that this is what I wanted to go to school.
So tell me, did you ever feel as if you were homeless or anything like that? Did you ever feel that way?
Yeah, um, yeah. Even when I was living with Dr. Walton, it was hard to feel like I was at home. I always
Okay.
felt like I was staying with somebody, and you know, I remember like even my cousin that I live with, I love you. You know, we had like a disagreement. She was like, "You don't live here. You just stay here." And I was, you know, that really, you know, that really stuck with me. You know, just being in different places, people helping you out, and they're like, "You don't live here. You just stay here."
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So,
you literally knock to get in. You know, I didn't have a,
wow.
you know, to places that I live. So when I moved with Dr. Walton, she really made it her business. She said, "Here's a copy of the key, and
Mm-hmm.
this is your room." And I was just like, "Oh wow," you know what I'm saying? So, but it was still really hard for me to feel like I was at home there. I just felt like people just let me stay there. I have no home. So even when I did have like a physical roof over my head and it wasn't a shelter, it
Mm-hmm.
still was hard for me to feel at home.
So can you tell me, do you have trouble feeling like you're at home now? Is it real to you? Because you have your own things now.
Yeah. Now my perspective has definitely shifted. You know, one, Dita was like, "Yeah, she picked up on that. She was like, "You're never gonna be homeless again, Dominique. Like, just know that." It's like, "You have the key to my house, you got the key to my mama's house. I don't even have the key to my mama's house, you know." You know, and that really stuck with me. I was like, you know, like I took that in. Like, I'm never gonna be homeless again. That's something that I need to keep that, you know, in the back of my mind. So now I feel like home really is where the heart is. I felt like that growing up, but the way
Mhm,
my foster mother conditioned me was that, you know, she was all I had, right? So my heart was with her. So home was with her. And then when she
mhm,
died, I felt like my world shattered. So, I had to shift my perspective. Like home, home is where the heart is. And I needed to have peace inside of me so that no matter where I am, I feel at peace and I feel like I'm home.
Mm-hmm. You
Inside,
have to you have to carry your peace with you.
yeah.
You're a wise woman. You're a very wise woman. Dominique, tell our audience if there's someone out there that is in a similar situation as you, what advice would you give them?
That it's okay to receive help. Um, from you have to really, really find a way to trust. I wrote a poem to Dida. It's called the hard. I put it a hard headed prayer, hard
Oh,
Christian's prayer, or something like that. But it was just me really asking God to help me trust that this woman is really, being obedient to Him and helping me. I was like, help me, because
mhm,
I'm
mhm,
rejecting what she's saying, and I really think she's trying to help, but I'm not sure. So I would say like it's okay to receive help, and really the best way that you can say thank you is really figure out a way to do that for someone else.
mhm.
you know I used to tell Dida, like, thank you, thank you, thank you so much, and how can I repay you? I used to feel like that, like, how can I repay you? And and I learned that figuring out how I can do that for someone else is like,
Mhm.
like how can I take what I've learned from her and other people that have mentored me along my journey, what I learned, and invested and build with it, and figure out how to do that for someone else. And that's where I am now in my life, like trying to figure out how can I do what these women have done for me for someone else? Like, how can I do that?
That is amazing that you wanna pay it forward.
So
You know
that,
what I noticed about you? You have a lot of confidence. It is just, pouring out of you, and I absolutely love that, about you. If I'm not mistaken, are you a business owner?
well, well, I do natural hair, but I don't have like an official business. And I am gonna write a, I am gonna put out a book, but it's not finished. But not like an official LLC or anything yet. So, but thank you. I'm gonna,
Well, you know what? If it's not official, but you definitely have the skills and you are performing those services. How can we find you regarding your services and your hair? Or do you make videos or anything like that regarding your hair?
a YouTube channel. Um,
Oh, okay, great.
for natural hair. It's under my name, Dominique Legree. I
Mhm.
have an Instagram. Same. It's all under my name.
Mhm. Well, Dominique, be sure to drop that into the chat so that people know where to find you, and how to support you, because surely, surely, surely you will be paying it forward. I know that that is just a part of your makeup.
Thank you. I will do that.
You have been spending time with Dominique Legree. This might be the first time that you are hearing from her, but it won't be the last. And it certainly won't be the last time that we'll have her on Epic Understanding. We appreciate you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me here. This is really a blessing, and it's definitely an inspiration for me to really, like you said, pay it forward and continue to share my journey so it can bless others.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And family, we'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.